Hi, my name is Juan, and welcome to The Couch, a podcast where real therapists talk about real things. Please remember that we are therapists, but we are not your therapists, and this podcast is intended for educational purposes only. What do you normally do to feel good? Now, a lot of individuals, including myself, we visit a counselor, and I am appreciative of everyone that reaches out to Santos Counseling. There's a lot of counseling practices around in the area, and gratitude, all caps, is what I feel every time that somebody reaches out and says, I'm choosing this practice, I'm taking this leap, and I feel gratitude. And behind the scenes, we are diligent, and we are studying, and we are learning, and we are bringing all of that to deliver effective care. Now, a lot of individuals reach out to a counselor, maybe read a self-help book, maybe find a neat YouTube video or a YouTube talk, TED Talk, to feel good, right? Or maybe you go for a walk, or maybe you take a nap. Maybe you watch something funny like The Office. I love watching The Office reruns. I could watch that. That's like my go-to, The Office. Or now I like Parks and Rec too. Sometimes it'll be Seinfeld. I like George Costanza. His parents, they always crack me up. Especially his dad, he's so loud. Now, obviously, you just found out things that I do to feel good. So this podcast episode, we're going to spend some time talking about what we can start doing so that we can start feeling better, so we can start feeling good. And our conversation is going to surround dopamine. You heard of that? It's going to surround serotonin. And those they're in that category. We'll put them in there of feel-good hormones. Now, if we look at them, you've got dopamine, you also got serotonin, you got endorphins, you got oxytocin. Oxytocin is like the really popular one for like touch. I think there's some verbiage on it of like the love hormone. Now, in the space of mental health, they're a big deal. Right, there's something a lot of clinicians, mental health professionals, psychologists, and so forth. We spend a lot of time studying them so that we can figure out here's what they do basically, and then here's things that we can start doing in our work to activate them. Right, they're little buttons. Then I want to start doing things in my life to press that button because that dopamine. Right, that serotonin, those endorphins, that oxytocin, they're all going to be doing some positive things. And if you get a chance, there's a really neat article written by, the Harvard Health, Publishing through Harvard Medical School. And it looks at feel-good hormones. This is the title of it, feel-good hormones, how they affect your mind, mood, and body. Now, you can go through it. You can read all about it. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to spend some time with you on simplicity. Because I'm one of those that if I go see my physician, which I really appreciate, been seeing him for years, I like my physician because when I sit with him, he just gives to me in black and white. I'm like, tell me so that I can understand and know exactly what to do. Okay, my blood pressure's high, so I need to be doing X, Y, Z. Awesome. I'm going to go do X, Y, Z so I can come back here, take this test again. Oh, you know what? Blood pressure's down. Awesome. So it looks like whatever I am doing is effectively working. Now, of course, it wouldn't be whatever I'm doing. It's the process, the methods. So for us, when we look at what can we start doing to feel good, I mentioned dopamine. And then I also mentioned serotonin. Both of those are what are called feel-good hormones. And for us to feel good, we do have to have a foundation of being proactive. Right? If you think about it this way, being proactive equals better mental health. So kind of keep that in mind. Now, dopamine, it's a feel-good neurotransmitter. And you can activate dopamine by jumping up and down, running through your house, washing the dishes, cleaning the floor, vacuuming. Movement is what I'm getting at, movement. So this hormone can help to enhance your mood and motivation through its release. Now, for me, that's pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool to know that if I start exercising, if I start running around, kicking a soccer ball with my kids, this good, feel-good neurotransmitter is going to enhance my mood. Awesome. And it's also going to help me feel a little more motivated. I like that, right? Now, sometimes the challenge for individuals is that they may go, oh, that's great, but I don't like to run around kicking a soccer ball, or I don't like to go to the gym. That's why I use the word movement, right? Because there's a lot of things that you could do that have to do with movement. Maybe for you, it's gardening. Maybe it's going for a walk in the mornings. Maybe it's you like the house to be really clean. Well, all of that requires movement. There was actually another article I read, and I wish I would have kept it on file, but it had to do with like doing chores in the home. So I think it was like vigorous chores, right? So you would maybe clean the dishes and then take out the trash and then vacuum the floors and then go in the garage and for the 1,000th time organize everything, knowing that it's going to get disorganized within a week, especially if you have kids. So you do all of that, and then this feel-good neurotransmitter starts to get activated, right? The dopamine gets activated, and you start to see the effect. And that effect is wonderful. Now, there's a lot of benefits when it comes to dopamine. I'm going to list some of those so that you're able to look at what else comes with this, right? It's a really good question. It supports your sleep, modulates the body's response to stress, provides a sense of pleasure, helps to reinforce behaviors, regulates movement, and helps with motor control. Healthy levels of this neurotransmitter are associated to improve focus and cognitive performance. It helps with mood regulation, promotes a sense of satisfaction. Now, if you're listening to these and you're like, all right, some of them I know, but some I don't know. That language still didn't make sense. Here's what I want you to think about. If you're somebody listening to this where you sometimes have a hard time regulating your mood, let's say you may go a little bit too high, too low, and it's causing issues. And those issues could be in your relationship, at work, with your friends. And you know this, right? You're honest with yourself and you go, you know what? I just have a hard time managing my mood, right? Sometimes it goes a little too high, maybe it goes a little too low. Or I have a hard time getting out of bed and getting motivated. And I want to be motivated because I like my job, but I'm just not motivated. What's going on with me? Right? All normal things to experience. Maybe not, great. Maybe you're not raising your hand and going, I want to experience this stuff. But it's important to know that a lot of us experience these things. So then here we look at what can we do to start feeling better, right? I want to start feeling good. And it's implementing some sort of movement in your life. I like to exercise, so I'll pick on myself here. I tend to be an early riser. So often I'm up around like 5:30 in the morning, and I am maybe doing a run. Maybe I am lifting weights, maybe doing some body weight exercises. And I get that's not for everybody. So I'm sharing more of like my story here so you can see the effect. Once I do this, I start to notice that my energy goes up. And I notice the energy during the whole day. Like I'll feel energized. I also feel a sense of achievement and accomplishment. I'll be able to notice that, I feel like I accomplished something. And it's because of that early morning workout. So what I want to share with you is see what you can plug into your schedule consistently so that you're activating dopamine and you can actually start seeing its effect. Often what I hear is that individuals do a little bit of a dopamine activating activity, but it has to be consistent. That's one of the factors of it, right? We want to do this thing consistently to be able to see it, to be able to feel its effect. The other neat thing that I notice is when I don't do my exercise, which I'm not perfect here by any means. I had a couple of weeks ago where I was like a week and a half and my body was just not feeling good. Like I didn't exercise for a week and a half. I was turning into a classic workaholic, working all the time. Thank goodness I love my job, which makes it even easier to be a workaholic. But that's a conversation for a different day. I started to notice that by not exercising, right, that time span, I wasn't feeling as motivated. I wasn't feeling as energized. my mood wasn't as regulated. And that's like this wake up call of, hey, that thing you were doing, it was actually doing something behind the scenes that you were noticing. And now that you're not doing it, here's the effect. Let's see. As a nice little item that you could look up, there's a Netflix series called Live to 100 Secrets of Blue Zones. And on there, they talk about movement as one of these secrets that helps individuals live to 100. And then I plug that one in because, again, I really love the word movement. I think when you throw in like exercise, you need to go run, you need to do push-ups, pull-ups. So some of those things just may not sound fun. Like, no, I don't want to jump on a bar and hold it and go up and down. It sounds boring. It sounds horrible. I don't want to do any of that. Okay, well, how about we play Pokemon Go and meet up at the park and then walk around and see how many we can catch while we have a great conversation? Yes, let's do that. That sounds awesome. Okay, right? They're both movement. Now, yes, one may develop the muscle in a different way than the other, but we're not focused on any of that stuff. We're literally focused on what can I do to activate dopamine so that I can start feeling better, so that I can start feeling the benefits that come with dopamine. Now, the next one that we have on here, which I mentioned, is serotonin. And we got to look at what can we do to push that button. Because what's neat about serotonin, there's a lot of neat research in it that really could help to push off depression. One of the key responsibilities of serotonin is boost in your mood. So it boosts your mood. It's why people experience it's why people who experience depression are often provided with antidepressants. So you may be familiar with what are called SSRIs, right? So that stands for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They're one of the most commonly prescribed antidepressants. Lots of research in that area on their impact of depression. So your SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, on a big picture basis, increase level of serotonin in the brain. Common SSRIs out there are like your Celexa, your Lexapro, Prozac, Zoloft. Now, what I will share with you before I keep on this rant is I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a medication provider as far as holding a license to be able to prescribe. I am a licensed clinician. On this mic, right, there's a disclaimer. I am not giving you any kind of advice as far as what to do, what not to do. I'm more just sharing all of this as a resource. I strongly encourage that you speak with your medication provider. You have a conversation with them if you're experiencing depression on what SSRIs are and what common ones are and what the research says about it. This information I'm pulling from going through a master's level program, going through a doctorate level program, different continuing education courses that I've done over a decade in the field. But it's important between you and I, especially for my own transparency, to share that when you're looking at receiving feedback from myself or anyone else, you're always double checking your references. You're always looking at things. With our serotonin, right? And again, the big topic here is what can I start doing to feel good, to feel better? And we talked about dopamine. We're in serotonin now. Here, one of the key items to remember is that a lot of this information is not necessarily to get something to just stop or to get something to go away. These are items that we look at as far as what I can start doing to get the wheel turning a little bit, to get the wheel going. So serotonin can be found in nature. That's right. It's right in your backyard. Exposure to sunlight. Did you know that? Exposure to sunlight and outdoor environments boost serotonin levels. There was an article recently published, and it talked a little bit about that as far as being out at the beach and looking at that exposure you're getting from sunlight. But often with that one, I'll share that with individuals and say, hey, you got this really cool thing outside that could really help. There's some benefits to it. Like it could help your sleep and wake cycle, helps your digestion, supports with learning and memory. And they're like, outside my yard? Really? Where? I'm like, yeah, it's out there. Go outside. And they go out there, and then we laugh a little bit. But it's the sun, the sunlight. So get creative. I'm a big hammock person, especially when I go hiking. I like to pitch up a hammock. And I say pitch, not like, it's one of those that you tie around one tree and then you tie it around the other. And then there you go, you got a hammock. And I'm hoping that's like the actual name of it. It sounds like I'm saying it right. Now, benefits of serotonin. Some of them I already mentioned. Helps to regulate body temperature. Regulates the sleep and wake cycle, which is so important. Let's just touch on that one for a moment, right? Your sleep and wake cycle, that can really throw off your entire mood and mental health. I mean, think about this. You go a couple of weeks and you don't get enough sleep. How do you feel? You feel like shit, right? You don't feel good. You feel tired. You don't feel energized. And of course, you don't want to do things that you have to do the rest of the day. That's why, since we're kids, right? The common language is get a good night's rest. Make sure you get to all your hours of sleep. Go to bed on time. Wake up on time. So this right here, serotonin, it helps with the regulation of our sleep and wake cycle. Serotonin contributes to a sense of well-being. It helps with digestion, supports with learning and memory, and it contributes to happiness. Serotonin has also been connected to gratitude. That's right. And this right here, this was from, there was somewhat like an article, if you will, from behavioral health, I think in North Dakota. Let me see. I think I have it here so that I'm not just spitballing in case you want to look at it. So if you go to, health.harvard.edu/healthbeat/give thanks. Can you make you happier? And if you get stuck, just let me know and I'll send it to you. But basically this reading here, it looks at cultivating gratitude. Here's the title of it. Cultivating gratitude is one of the simpler routes to a greater sense of emotional well-being. And when you look at gratitude, some of the benefits, it helps to build emotional resilience, right? It helps you look at the positive in life. It helps to get you away from negative ruminations. It helps you to stay grounded, which is so important, right? Sometimes we just get lost in our mind and go in all these different places or rabbit holes. It helps you stay in the here and now present, even if what you're facing is challenging. It helps you to focus on certain items in front of you, especially if you're trying to solve a problem. So just a few positives there. While we're on this topic of gratitude, in connection to serotonin, right? Let's also talk about, what can I start doing, right? What are some action-oriented things that when it comes to gratitude in connection to serotonin that can be done? Meditate, mindful meditation, right? And this could be as simple as you close your eyes, quiet place, you put a timer for 10 minutes, and then 2 minutes if you want. 10 sounds like too big of a number. And then you inhale through your nose, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds, and then you hold that for 4 seconds. And some of you may know what I'm speaking of here. What I'm speaking of here is called box breathing. So you imagine you have a box in front of you, and then you work your way up one side of the box, and that takes 4 seconds, and you inhale during that 4-second duration. And then as you work your way to the next side of the box, you're going to hold for 4 seconds. And then as you work your way to the other side of the box, you're going to exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds. And then as you work yourself to the next side of the box, you're going to hold for 4 seconds. And then you repeat that process. Doing about 2 minutes of that can really help with a mindful breathing meditation. Another exercise you could do is keep a gratitude journal, whether it's on your phone or, you got a physical one, pen and paper. Use it. Don't just keep it, use it. So if I see you and you say, hey, I saw that episode or I heard that episode, and then I say, show me your gratitude journal, you're able to go, here it is. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Something else you could do, and you don't even need somebody around you, is you can thank other people mentally. Yeah, just think about people in your life Mentors, people that have helped you when you were a kid, a teen, an adult, that neighbor that was nice, or that teacher that went a little bit, above and beyond. And then thank them. Doing that little act in there goes a long way. And then the last one that you could take with you is writing a thank you note and actually giving that to individuals. So this serotonin, we can activate it by doing different things, right? Activation, we talked about sunlight. Activation, we talked about practicing gratitude. And then, of course, there was a mention of SSRIs, medications. So as we kind of come back in, we started with a conversation of feel-good hormones, right? And we talked about actually 4 of them: dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and oxytocin. And in this space of mental health, they're all really important. And they work to help us, right? To help us with our mental health. And mental health is like this term, but really mental health, what is it, right? Mental health is me raising my hand and say, I want some of that. And that I'm pointing at is, I want a good life. I want to feel good. I want to feel energized. If I fall down, I want to be able to get back up. I want to be able to heal. I want to be able to grow. I want to be able to experience. I want to be able to love. I want to be able to navigate hurt, to navigate pain, to process grief. I want to be able to actually live and embrace this thing called life. And to do that, I have to have good mental health, right? I have to have healthy, positive, good. You throw in a term there. And then earlier I mentioned, to achieve better mental health, we have to be proactive. So then that brings us to this page of our feel-good hormones, right? What can you start doing to activate dopamine? We talked about movement. You pick the movement. I'll leave that up to you. And what can you start doing to activate serotonin? We talked about getting outside. Well, you're already getting, if you're doing the movement, and some of the movement you do is outside, you're getting 2 for 1 special, my friend. I mean, that's a deal, right? If you're a couponer, that's a deal. And you could also practice gratitude, right? All of those are wonderful steps to take. Now, here's something I want you to do. I want you to log this. Yes, log it. Get some sort of, sheet of paper, a journal, your phone, and log that you're going to start moving, like movement. Start getting outside, start practicing gratitude. And then as you log it, maybe from 0 to 10 each day, 10 being I'm feeling really good, to 0 the other way down. Do this for about 30 days and see if you find a relationship between doing what we spoke about. Does it bring that number higher? Then if it does bring it higher, ta-da, right? Well, come on now. That's something. Wouldn't that be pretty cool? Now, if it doesn't bring it higher, you didn't hear it here. That was a different podcast episode. So, or no, not an episode. That was a different podcast in general. Something that I try to do every so often in here is I try to hold space for humor, hold space for laughter. And I do it. I do it because that's me on a very authentic level. My mother, when she'll say little comments, she's like, when you were little, you were this or you were that. And she's like, when you were born laughing. And I believe her to this day. I choose to believe her to this day. Because when it comes to laughter, I love it. I love to find some sort of way in life to laugh and to enjoy, the things that I do, whether it's up or down. And I leave you with that. See if you can just sprinkle a little more laughter into your life. And I do believe, all the way from the bottom of my heart, my gut, I believe that there's good in that. I appreciate you listening. If you've got somebody in your circle, a friend nearby that would benefit from, listening to this episode about things that we can start doing to feel better, to improve our mental health, share it with them.